I'm Damon Zell, and this is your Eve Echoes Weekly News Update. We have a lot to cover this week, but first, if you can hit that subscribe button and ring that bell, you can stay up to date with everything that this channel has to offer. I just want to give a little information before we begin in regards to this channel. In the past, new episodes would be launched every Monday, but as the game and community grows, I've been receiving more information and news, and this will only continue exponentially as we are looking at SOV coming this December. With this in mind, I've made the choice to change the release of new episodes between Tuesdays and Wednesdays. This change will allow me to gather all the content, fact-check the information, and contact all parties to bring you the most current news. We start off with our weekly maintenance, which was pushed back a day due to the devs moving into a new location. The patch brought with it a lot of good as well as some bad. First, we have the reduced spawn rate of Scout and Inquisitor sites levels 1 through 3 in HiSec. The devs felt that these were being exploited, especially with the current prices of blueprints. While on autopilot, busy systems will now be avoided. They hope that this will help with some of the already congested systems, especially since we are still seeing this on a daily basis, that big ball of ships trying to enter Cheetah. If you have alts within the same account, this will now no longer trigger the audit system while trading. Those of us with alts on separate accounts, no such luck at the moment. This should help those mission runners and anomaly junkies. If you lose connection while in an anomaly, the system will now try to warp your ship out to save you. And speaking of anomalies, they've changed up how the Pirates AI work, and they enabled target switching. So when you fly into an anomaly with a group, the rats will now yellow box everyone, and after a while of shooting one target, they will all switch to fire on someone else within your fleet. Be on the lookout. If you're using a guest account, you will now need to link that account before you can trade or make any transactions. Hey, remember when we had that server breakdown, that 10 plus hour maintenance? Well, if you had an account during that time, you will now get a commemorative stamp for it. Glad to see that the devs are having a sense of humor about this whole thing. There's now a confirmation box that pops up if you try to lock in an ally. So if you're a logistics pilot, you might want to check that box so it won't keep popping up on you during a battle. No one likes friendly fire. If you are setting a course with autopilot that includes a low-sec or dangerous system, you will now receive a pop-up to confirm that you know you'll be going into these systems. You will now be notified if someone steals your PI. They also have added stages 8 and 9 for advanced tutorial missions, and I have to say the rewards are looking very nice. Chips for both armor and shield hardening 4, so if you skilled into them, you can get those points back. A loot option is now enabled within fleets. You can now choose between enabling or disabling equal bounty distribution. If you choose to disable it, then the bounties will be distributed based on the damage dealt to each rat. A nice little quality of life change for market shoppers. Now the market will remember your transportation choice from your previous order. Okay, so the login rewards have not only changed, they've been renamed. These rewards will now be called the Pilot Cultivation Program and looks to run in 7-day stretches. There's been some confusion over how to claim these rewards because of the lack of a claim button, but all you need to do is click right on the item to claim it. Now if you miss a day, that's okay. You will start these new rewards with 3 wait day claim credits and will gain a new one each day you log in. Long story short, they're making it much more hard than it has to be, adding confusion where there doesn't need to be any. Just log in each day and claim those rewards. Great news for those pilots stuck with a pre-generated name. You can now use Plex to change your name and avatar. Corporations can now also change their logo as well as their ticker. For pilots, the first name change is free, and each subsequent change will cost you 500 Plex. If you're a Dromio pilot, you might have noticed that the acceleration tooltip is gone from your ship. That is just because the 3 Angel ships with the inertial modifiers were incorrect. The devs removed these and will fix them at a future date. This is only the tooltip, as the acceleration of the ship was not changed. They have added a ship recovery tool now in the customer service menu to make submitting tickets for lost ships during disconnects easier. This tool has sped up ship recovery. If recovery requirements have been met, you can now get your ship under 1 hour. Not included with the initial maintenance patch, these items have been added in during the week. The devs have implemented a hotfix to the sentry guns around the low-sec systems. These will now have the strength of Concord and can one-shot most ships. Any crimes committed near these areas will be subject to be targeted by these guns. Same as before, whether these can be speed tanked is yet to be seen. So until we know for certain, be vigilant and be aware when nearing a gate camp. One of the devs, Nero, told us content creators of a change that will be put in effect on the 13th of October. Due to ARM team manipulating PI in null systems, they will be restricting alpha accounts, as well as those not Tech 7, to only be able to do PI in high-sec systems. We won't know how this will affect the markets until it goes into effect. Skill points will soon be able to be refunded by using Plex. The exchange rate will be 1 Plex for every 5,000 skill points. This too will be put in place on the 13th of October. With any patch, we know by now that it always will bring some bugs with it, and this patch was no different. Now, some of these bugs have already been hotfixed, some of them are still in the game today. Right from the server uptime, we had a shipping container bug where a container in your ship cargo could not be submitted. They have stated that they were going to hotfix this, and I've not heard any reports to the contrary. Another bug that was fixed in the game was the blank portrait card. I know this has been fixed, but in the beginning, when clicking on a pilot's portrait from local, it would bring up a blank business card of that pilot. The overview bug still persists, with tabs not saving from login to login, as well as that warp animation. Now, you can recreate that warp animation by simply having your PI tab open while jumping to another system, and you'll have the glory of the endless warp throughout the entire system. Well, you might have seen this message on every logon about the Corporation short video contest. All details can be found on the Eve Echo's website, and a link will be found in the description below. The top prizes in this contest will be a customized Corporation skin, a customized medal to display on your bio, as well as a customized flag. Now, the skin and medals, you'll be getting 100 of these if you win to distribute to your members. Now, all you have to do is upload your submission and include the hashtag EECorpVideo. They'll be using a scoring metric of views plus likes plus comments to equal your total score. You have until October 25th to get your submissions uploaded, and the earlier the better. I believe this is a great community contest. However, a lot of us content creators feel, and we've brought this up to the devs, that this is going to be a repeat of the emoji contest from the official Discord. The most popular corporation getting the win from sheer membership numbers. So, how do we fight this? Well, I came up with a little idea. Here on Echoes from the Front, I'll be making a special corporation video playlist to give all corporation videos equal coverage. So contact me, send me those videos, and I will house them here on my channel. With all the planned purposes the devs have got going right now with Plex, we've seen a sharp increase in price. Plex is now being traded at $239,000, up $60,000 from last week. Zidrin has fallen by 100 ISK to between 1,700 and 1,800 per, and Noxium has remained steady around 2,000 ISK per. Battlecruisers have settled around 330 to 360 million, as more and more players are hitting that tech level 7. It's been a busy week here in Echoes, with multiple stations being attacked. Let's first talk about the elephant in the room, the fall of UAF station of the VEV Alliance. A lot of controversy has surrounded the station kill, as it has spilled out beyond the game and across multiple content creators' channels. VEV Alliance drop a station, and during the end of the anchoring phase, the 15 minutes when it becomes susceptible to attack, Elysium forces, with the help of Old Terra, Eternal Armada, and Avalanche, attack it. This attack was known and anticipated, so VEV forces, with the assistance of Genesis Federation, arrived on grid for defense. Locals swelled to over 400 during the peak of the battle, with both sides causing billions of ISK lost to each other. The Elysium contingent engaged the defense ships, while a stealth bomber group of Avalanche stayed on the other side of the station, DPSing it down. With any large battle in Echoes, the lag was a big issue, and many disconnects and overview issues were suffered on both sides. With the lag, Genesis Fleet made the call to warp off-field to try and regroup and resync. This is where we get mired in the controversy. In Sovereign RPG's video, he claims that the Gen-Fed fleet had abandoned VEV, while in Korinsky's stream, he claims that a bug prevented Genesis from retaking the field. What happened is the station dropped away from the Genesis pilot's overview, and they could not find their way back on grid. Whether this was a bug or not, I can't say. I know from personal experience that the overview is bugged, and every time I log back in, I need to redo my tabs as well as my overview settings. The reason is because under Stations, Citadel is unchecked by default, and you need it active to view any outpost on the overview. I am also told that the outpost owner can set it to where you can't see it unless you're on the grid, and that they can actually anchor it in places you can't get to without knowing where it is as one of the options. Regardless of that, Korinsky states that all the commanders on the field have come to the conclusion that they would have lost the fight anyway if they were able to get back on grid. The incoming DPS and the numbers were just too great. After the station had fell, another fight on the exit gate ensued where, according to Eternal Armada, a good portion of that defense fleet was killed off. I could not get total numbers killed or lost from VEV, GenFed, or Elysium. However, leadership from Eternal Armada has stated to me that out of their alliance fleet of 60, they had lost 13 ships and killed over 45. Eternal Armada would like it stated that they have a deep appreciation of Genesis for putting up a great fight. This entire encounter has now become a referendum on propaganda and toxicity, and I encourage you to check out both of their channels, Sarvin RPG as well as Korinsky, to make up your own decisions on this. The Terran Federation had a busy week with another station kill from a corporation named Ash. During the anchoring phase, TF rolled in with a 120 pilot fleet and destroyed the station with little resistance. Now, in the same week, Happy Beast paid TF a visit with a destroyer fleet of 120. Both forces exchanged fire and then played gate games. Terran forces killed a number of bees while cutting their path off home. During these gate games, the bees split their forces and burned several anomaly bases within Terran space before finding another way home. The Crimson Null Kingdom with Trimarch attacked a Op 4 station held by Red and forced that outpost into reinforcement. This has now sparked a war between Op Force East, the Russian arm of Op Force, and the Querious Coalition, CNK alliances, and Trimarch. To talk about what happens next, we must first go back to see how this began. Now, deals were made and finally reached between Op Force and Trimarch, and they were set blue. Their allies, the CNK, the Crimson Null Kingdom, who were already living in Catch, were given the go-ahead to claim a constellation for themselves and leave the rest of Catch for Op Force. They all agreed and non-aggression pacts were signed. A few days later, after the agreements were put into writing, Op Force East dropped an outpost right down in the smack middle of CNK's constellation. And then they were told that this now belonged to Red. Op Force East then gave CNK a set of rules. 1. Not another blue to CNK ratting, only red sky. 2. Not blue shoot at policy, but in case of any other blue coming to a dead space, scout, inquisitor, or base, red sky can then shoot them without compensation. And 3. Only red sky mining in a set of 3 systems of that constellation, one of which being the home base of CNK. CNK was kindly given the rights to rat in this constellation, but not the rest of their growing coalition that is living there. If Red saw any CNK in a dead site, they were apparently allowed to shoot them without consequences, and this, quite frankly, pissed CNK off. After previously signing deals to be left alone, and then suddenly to have an outpost in your backyard? Not only this, but Op Force East also followed CNK industrialists around every belt they were mining in with their own mining fleet and competed over every rock in that belt. This went on for several days, and many meetings were scheduled with Red leadership that they never showed up to. Now, Trimarch took this to the main leadership of Op Force and asked them to solve the situation, be a mediator. Another half week went by with no help from their supposedly main coalition leadership team. It soon showed that Op Force leadership had absolutely no control over Red and that they could just do whatever they want. So in the early hours of morning, Trimarch and CNK took it into their own hands to try and show Op Force that they meant business and that they were not going to be ignored. They formed a fleet of 200 and quickly reinforced Red Station, getting a few kills in the process. This sparked the events that unfolded when the station came out of its second reinforcement timer. Trimarch, CNK, and the Querious Coalition forces raised a fleet of 150, and in anticipation of an attack, Outposts called in everyone they could for a defense, including the Terran Federation from over 40 jumps away. This resulted in a battle of 150 versus 400, where they would show them that Trimarch, CNK, and the Querious Coalition will not back down from a fight. It started with CNK being camped in their station by a fleet of 150, so the Querious Coalition went full speed to their HQ system to break that camp up and get the Allies out into space. After a small battle, the enemy fleet retreated, heading back to the outpost. CNK and other allies were then able to undock as they proceeded towards the 400 hostiles they knew were waiting for them at Red's base. The retreating fleet of 150 or so attempted to set up 2 gate camps along the way that Trimarch, CNK, and the QC smashed through with only minimal losses. When Tri and company finally reached the target system, they began the slow, tedious process of getting their 150 pilots to reform. Scouts who were previously logged out on the grid of the station slowly were invited back into fleets one by one so the fleets could get a warp in on the grid. Once on grid, they saw the 400-man fleet formed on the outpost, strung out like a pillar above the station, set at different distances. Offensive forces got their cloaking bombers in position and then pounced. Committed to the battle, completely outnumbered almost 3-1, they were here to show Outposts that they would not back down. The battle raged for almost 45 minutes, where the forces of Trimarch, CNK, and the Querious Coalition were wiped out. The defense forces stood down with Red Station now still intact. Contacts within Trimarch have said that they will continue until Outpost allies are tired of taking that long trip to defend every time they are attacked. War is now declared, and we can expect to see a lot of fighting in Catch and Querious in the coming weeks. News from the North. North attacked a station owned by Triple V Alliance. North's intel found a hostile station owned by a Chinese alliance and was coming out of reinforcement in its final timer at 1200 UTC Saturday. After skirmishing with the owners during the week prior, North saw it as the perfect opportunity to join forces with whoever pushed this timer and kick over the castle. North formed a fleet of 140 and headed towards that station system. The defenders had approximately 280 ships on the entrance gate in the dead-end system. North claims bad intel was purposely fed by neutrals defending the station, making the numbers sound comparable to what North was bringing, and they decided to take that fight. After taking approximately 100 kills, North's losses were too great to continue the battle, and the station survived to fight another day. During this attack, North has lost 80 ships. While speaking to Brown, the head of Triple V, I learned that the initial corp that pushed the reinforcement timer was dark. The defense fleet numbered around 300, Honk Alliance assisting. Triple V is very thankful to their friends in Honk and say that they are a very friendly alliance, rarely attacking anyone, and hope that they have good relations with all in New Eden. They are now welcome to all forms of diplomacy. Reports of a Silent Alliance member being banned from the official Echo's Reddit for breaking the TOS by alleged vote brigading has surfaced, while plans to upvote brigade a post against the Silent Alliance on the North Discord has yet to receive the same consequences. Mr. Pay-to-Win has contacted and forwarded this information to a mod of that community, only to be brushed off. This same mod apparently has not even played Echoes in over 2 weeks. The Mercenary Coalition has now been fully deployed to Stain and is actively fighting both Russian and Chinese alliance and corporations for control of that region. Avalanche approached the MC with a request for a non-aggression pact as the Mercenary Coalition forces entered the region, and this request has been granted while they mop up resistance. The Mercenary Coalition is also actively negotiating with parties in surrounding regions for defense, harassment, PPK, and structure assault contracts. With the next Mercenary Review Board meeting, the MC expects to hit a maximum number of corporations allowed in an alliance, and with more interviews pending. At this time, the MC is looking for an AU time zone PvP corporation to fill that last remaining spot. Our Alliance Spotlight this week goes out to the Eternal Armada. The Eternal Armada started as a friendship between IMLG's CEO Mad Rage and Sour's CEO Huna Blazer. The Alliance was first based out of the Torino system in Lautrec, but their plans extended well beyond. With Mad Rage at the helm, the companies paid off their corporate debt within the first 2 weeks of launch, and through generous individual player donations, raised the billion ISK required to formally create the Eternal Armada Alliance. Further, they had already recruited multiple experienced FCs and had chosen a region of Nosec to inhabit. By week 3, hundreds of EA pilots made the long journey to their new home. Today, they have a flourishing and self-sustaining economy. In addition to a strong PvP presence, the Alliance boasts over 20 industrialists, spanning all time zones and specialized across all verticals. Members are able to buy whatever they need at a significant discount from a market that never sleeps. From the beginning, they had sought to create a strong, respectful, self-sustaining Nosec alliance. They've added scores of new players and several corporations to their alliance as well. In addition, they've shown themselves not able to just build, but also to defend. From the beginning, small rivals have tried to carve out systems from their territory, and they have held firm. Most recently, Genesis tried to build an outpost in their backyard. You can ask them how well that worked out for them. EA's near-term goals are to continue to strengthen their alliance, recruit new players, add new corporations, and build new friendships. EA has the coordination and infrastructure to support many additions to the Armada. 100 pilot fleets are just the beginning. They want so much more. As they build towards a bigger and better future, they invite experienced pilots and industrials to come join them and together create something truly special. All are welcome, and they hope that you'll become part of it. For pilots looking to join, please contact Kiafis, and for corporations looking to become members of the Eternal Armada, can contact Mad Rage. Both of their contact information, as well as a link to their Discord, will be in the description. If you want more news during the week, then sure to check out the ENN for fast-breaking stories in short bursts run by Sovereign RPG, as well as Echoes from New Eden podcast with your host Sean for news and interviews when you just want to listen on the go. Be sure to listen to Frankie on EER News, which is EveEchoesRadio.com's live news broadcast that airs multiple times a week, featuring community news and updates. If you have a story that needs to be told, have information on a battle, some alliance drama, or backstabbing, then contact me through my various social media outlets, which can be found below. Once again, thank you for coming, and know that your enemy can never disrupt you from within a pod.